Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Before I call Tracey Martin, there's a couple of points that I should make, just to make it absolutely clear about the way this debate works, and that is that all of the questions will be put at the end, including all of the amendments, all of the SOPs. But the expectation is that people will speak to the amendments on the particular themes as we work our way through. Now, I just put one other sort of thing out there, which might be more hopeful than realistic, and that is that one of the hopes that we had would be that people wouldn't feel an obligation to use all of their 5 minutes, that they'd ask their questions and they'd sit down, or make their points and they'd sit down, because they have an opportunity to get back up again to interrogate the minister some more or to reinforce their points. So we get a bit more of an interchange. Tracey Martin.
Kia ora. Thank you very much for the clarification, Mr Chair. And I think we appreciate that. I think, particularly from the opposition's perspective, we're setting the stage, and then we definitely hope to interact with the minister more. I stand to talk about clauses 4 to 37 and 39 to 71. There are approximately 10 supplementary order papers in those themes, around those particular themes, those clauses that we're talking to today. First of all, can I support some of the statements by my colleagues Chris Hipkins from the Labour Party and Catherine Delahunty from the Green Party? This is an opportunity. The National Education Learning Priorities is an opportunity. There is no doubt about it. And I think that the opportunity is not lost. I think that should this bill pass, it's how they are developed that creates the next opportunity. And so I think there is, Mr Hipkins said, the Parliament has an opportunity here to set a vision for New Zealand education that would go longer than 5 years. Now, 5 years might be, and I would reiterate Mr Hipkins' question to the Minister, why 5 years? Where did 5 years come from? Because, as he quite rightly pointed out, the educational journey of our children is much longer than that. Now, if we certainly understand the need to have flexibility and oversight. If something's going wrong, you can't just leave a generation to suffer the consequences of that. And obviously, they're always transitioning through. But it would be a wonderful thing if this bill passes, that the conversation afterwards around the educational learning priorities is a much wider discussion. Let's actually participate together and set a vision for education, let's say for 30 years, and have review dates set in place, markers that we all can agree on and all can participate in, and widen that conversation so that New Zealand, education has become an incredibly contentious issue, and it's not fair on the children that are involved in it. So if there is an opportunity here, I believe, to actually move this from the aggressive place that education has been for some time into a place of collegiality. And that's a word you only hear in education. So it would be really nice to think that after this bill passes, because obviously the government has the numbers, that this is not the end of a journey and that we have an opportunity to participate. I want to speak to just 2 of the 10 supplementary order papers that are currently on the table around these particular clauses. And the first I want to pick up on is Chris Hipkins' supplementary order paper 302. And that is to try and align the national education learning priorities to more closely to what is actually in the New Zealand curriculum. And the New Zealand curriculum document was developed in a way that should be a blueprint for how the national education learning priorities could be developed. I would remark that inside that supplementary order paper, there is not the voice of business, and there should be. Now, we could say that business are on boards of trustees and business are parents and business, but when they come as parents and when they come as board of trustees members, they come with that hat on. There is a place for industry inside the conversation around what do we need from our educational facilities for our future. Because all of us want, and we don't agree with the fit-for-purpose comments that were made last night by a member of the government, but what we do want is we want our young people to be able to participate and feel involved and contributing to our society. Now, that may not be in paid employment. There is a variety of skills that our country needs, and some of it does not get paid for. But we want all of our young people, all of our community, to feel that they are valued and have a place and can contribute. So in the list under the amendment to 4A that has been suggested on Supplementary Order Paper 304, I would just suggest that there is a gap there around industry's voice and to do with workforce planning and what is happening inside the world, really. And where education, the requirement of the skills, the vocational skills, the Minister quite rightly pointed out, the vocational pathways that had been developed over the last few years. That has changed the New Zealand education system for the better. There is an opportunity, certainly now, to continue to evolve with the holistic education that tomorrow's schools and the New Zealand education system should pride itself on, Mr. Chair. And using the vocational pathways and the vocational skills to predict what the skills are, not the job requirements, the skills are for young people in New Zealand, and we can develop those. I also want to just touch on, it's my supplementary order paper number 292, and in there it is putting in a requirement. It would amend clause 4 and replace with the new section 1A(4) that there would need to be, the Minister would need to undertake a full and transparent nationwide consultation with the public of New Zealand. So I suppose I'm just going one step further with regard to the consultation and the development of the national education learning priorities to let's make it a countrywide conversation. Because I also don't believe that just academics and those inside the sector have all the answers. Whenever we are somehow cocooned often inside this house and we look at things from an academic or a theoretical perspective, and I think that's one of the problems when we create legislation only based upon the advice of officials, is that they stay in a certain place. They're at this, one of the ways that officials describe things is this is high-level thinking. We must know how that will translate down onto the ground. And so there are members of our society that should have a voice inside this vision for our country. And that is the purpose of Supplementary Order Paper 292. So it would be interesting to hear from the Minister, why the 5 years? Is there an opportunity? Does she see an opportunity to expand the consultation to not only those that she deems, she or he, and remember we're setting up rules in this legislation for whoever is the Minister of Education. This is definitely not personalised to the current Minister of Education. This is an opportunity, and any restrictions or rules or barriers or boundaries or parameters that we put in place will have to be followed by anybody who comes after the current Minister of Education, whether it be with a national-led government, a New Zealand First-led government, a Labour-led government. Those sort of things, we know what we're doing. But we have an opportunity for real collegiality here. So it would be interesting, Minister, why 5 years? What is the Minister's view on Supplementary Order Paper 292 and Supplementary Order Paper 304 at this stage? We know where the opposition stands on these things, but it would be interesting to get the government's perspective on those two alone at this stage. Kia ora.
Mr. Chair.
The Honourable Hikia Parata.
Mr. Chair, I just